Have you ever heard of a place that just ceased to exist? I'm not talking about a ghost town, slowly reclaimed by nature. I'm talking about a town that vanishes. One day it's there, full of life, homes, and people. The next, it's just empty land, as if it was never there at all. This isn't a plot from a science fiction movie. It's a collection of chilling, real-world mysteries that defy all explanation. Today, we're journeying into the heart of the void, exploring the unsettling stories of towns that disappeared. Our first stop is a place that many have tried to find, but few have succeeded. Let's call it the anomaly of the plains. In the late 19th century, nestled in a remote valley, was a small but thriving mining settlement. Records show it had a general store, a saloon, a small school, and homes for about 200 people. The last official census entry from 1888 describes a bustling community, but by 1890, it was gone. Not abandoned. Gone. A survey team sent to map the area a couple of years later found nothing. No buildings, no foundations, not even rubble. The entire landscape was smooth, covered in grass, as if a town had never been built. It was as if someone had taken a giant eraser to the map of reality. The only thing they found was a single, rusted cast-iron stove, half buried in the earth, miles from any other sign of civilization. What happened to the 200 souls who lived there? Where did their homes, their streets, and their lives go? There were no reports of fires, floods, or any natural disaster. They simply vanished off the face of the earth. This isn't an isolated incident. Let's travel across the globe to the coast of Brazil, to a fishing village that locals now refer to as the Silent Shore. In 1923, this village was home to a close-knit community of about 50 families. They lived by the rhythm of the tides, their lives intertwined with the sea. A visiting trader who frequented the village described it as vibrant, always filled with the sounds of children playing and fishermen mending their nets. He left on a Tuesday. When he returned the following Friday, just 3 days later, the village was no more. The strange thing was, the boats were still there, pulled up on the sand. Fishing nets were laid out as if to dry. Inside the few huts that remained partially intact, tables were set for meals that were never eaten. But the people, and most of their homes, were gone. The ground itself was disturbed, churned up as if by an incredible force. But there were no footprints leading away from the village. No signs of a struggle. The jungle surrounding the clearing was untouched. It was as if the earth had opened up and swallowed the town, then closed again, leaving behind just a few haunting clues. Local legends now say the place is cursed, that the sea itself claimed the village as a debt. To this day, sailors avoid that stretch of coastline, reporting an unnerving silence that hangs in the air. A silence where a lively village once stood. Now, let's look at a more modern and even more baffling case. In the 1970s, deep in the Canadian wilderness, a logging company established a small, self-sufficient outpost. It was built to last, with prefabricated homes, a power generator, and a satellite link for communication. No one could explain it. The company's official report listed the event as an unexplained industrial loss, but the families of the missing workers were left with no answers. Where could an entire logging camp, complete with heavy machinery and housing, possibly go? The common thread in these stories is the sheer totality of the disappearance. It's not just the people who are gone. It's the very evidence of their existence. The buildings, the roads, the infrastructure all erased. This has led to some wild theories. Some speculate about secret government weapons testing, some kind of localized energy field that can disintegrate matter. Think about it. A technology so powerful it could remove a town from the map without leaving a crater or radiation. It sounds like science fiction, but could it be a classified reality? Others look to more esoteric explanations. They talk about localized dimensional slips or reality shifts. The idea is that these towns didn't get destroyed, but rather they were shifted into a parallel dimension, or perhaps their entire section of space-time was simply snipped out of our reality. It's a mind-bending concept, but when faced with a complete lack of physical evidence, what other possibilities are there? Imagine waking up one morning to find your entire world is slightly different, or worse, finding that the world you knew is simply gone, and you are somewhere else. Then there are the geological theories. Some scientists propose the existence of rare, incredibly swift-moving sinkholes, or land subsidences that could, in theory, swallow a small settlement. But this doesn't explain the lack of debris. Where does all the material go? And how could it happen so cleanly, leaving behind a perfectly flat piece of land? A sinkhole large enough to swallow a town would create a massive crater, a scar on the land that would be visible for centuries. But in these cases, the land is often described as eerily smooth, as if it was healed over. Perhaps the most chilling accounts come from those who claim to have stumbled upon the remnants or echoes of these lost places. Hikers and explorers in these remote areas have reported bizarre experiences. Some describe walking through a forest and suddenly finding themselves on what feels like a paved street, only to have the sensation vanish a few steps later. Others report hearing faint sounds, the laughter of children, the clang of a blacksmith's hammer, the murmur of conversations carried on the wind in a place where no people have lived for a century. One particularly spooky story comes from a backpacker in the Rocky Mountains. He was exploring a region where, according to old maps, a small pioneer settlement called Havenwood once existed. He found nothing but wilderness. As night fell, he made camp. In the middle of the night, he was awakened by the smell of woods. He looked out of his tent and saw faint lights flickering in the distance, where there should have been nothing but dark woods. He heard the distant bark of a dog. Terrified, he stayed in his tent until dawn. When morning came, there were no lights, no sounds, and no trace of a campfire. He had camped in the heart of a phantom town, a ghost of a place that no longer exists in our world. These stories force us to confront a deeply unsettling idea that a place, a community, an entire piece of our shared reality can just be deleted. There's no closure, no explanation, just a gaping void and a handful of haunting questions. Were these events acts of nature, so rare and strange that we don't yet have the science to understand them? Were they the result of some secret, terrifying technology? Or are they hints of something far stranger, a crack in the fabric of our reality, reminding us just how fragile our existence truly is? The silence left behind by these vanished towns is louder than any explosion. It's the silence of unanswered questions, of lives cut short in the most unimaginable way. It's a reminder that there are still profound mysteries in our world, places on the map that lead to nowhere, and stories that end not with a period, but with a chilling, empty space. What do you think happened to these towns? Is there a logical explanation we're missing? Or are we dealing with forces beyond our comprehension? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you found this journey into the unknown as fascinating as I did, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more explorations into the world's greatest mysteries. Thanks for watching.